What's up, everybody, and welcome to another episode of the Trust Your Boy podcast. My name is Stephen Wright. I am joined by Mr. William Monroe. How you doing, Will?
Doing well, Steve. We have college football here, so a couple of official, real, live football games in the books here yesterday. And I just finished up my first of two offline drafts here. So we have ours coming up later this week. Just today, finished up my first real draft.
Very nice, very nice. And you're happy with it, I assume?
Yeah. As I mentioned to you earlier, it's kind of like a modified hero RB around Kyron Williams, but was able to load up on receivers and onesies. Got the Kyler and McBride stack, and then have Chase, Olave, and Metcalf and Ridley. So pretty solid. Load up with them late running backs, but it'll be interesting. I don't think I've had kind of a full either zero or hero RB, and kind of the closest I've gotten to it. So pretty happy for a 12-team league. Kind of have some of those top-end talent at wide receiver.
Yeah, nice. We will we'll see what this draft has in store. We got another 12-team half-point PPR. I'm in the 2. Will, you're in the 10. So are you going into it thinking you want to try hero RB again, or you want to just do something completely different, or are you just going to see what the board brings you?
See how the board falls. I mean, obviously you don't know what's going to happen. If the first couple picks fall to me that way, then I may take another shot at it. Maybe look to like even a more full zero RB, but feels like the end of the later pick in the round does lend you to getting at least one running back. So I don't imagine I'll be in a spot where I'll get a zero RB unless AJ Brown, Amon-Ra, Chase, Jefferson, like one of them falls to 10, which seems unlikely. So we'll see. You looking at anything in particular there? Obviously starting receiver in all likelihood at 2.
Yeah. I think given, we have our draft at the end of the week, I probably want to do this one somewhat realistic. And if CMC doesn't go 101, I'll probably just pass on him.
Yeah.
The issue with that, and I know we haven't really talked about it, is like if Tyreek goes 101, like I'm getting iffy about Lamb since he's not practicing. I really don't want Jefferson that early, given the issues with the quarterback there. And then Chase, I think Chase just came back to practice. I think I saw that.
Yeah, I saw that today, which was partially why I was happy to take him.
Right? Yeah,
would have taken him out probably other way at 8, given that he's got 2 years left on his contract, and doesn't seem like he has too much of a leg to stand on, unfortunately. When it comes to renegotiating, but I do expect him out there one way or another, whether he gets the new contract or whether it's so incentivizing him to maybe get it next offseason.
He's another scary one. So like if Tyreek goes, then I'm worried about the other options because I'm happy Chase is back. So that probably leads me to him, but they're all kind of worrisome. And then I feel like in the 102, if you go wide receiver first, you're almost like, to me, kind of stuck in a zero RB because like I don't want my first RB to be A-Chain or Josh Jacobs. Like they scare me.
Yeah.
So, and I just did one. So do I reach and go with Bijan or something like that? I don't know. We're just gonna hit the start button and we'll figure it out live, I guess.
Yeah. I guess we'll go from there and see how it looks. But it's interesting.
Yeah. So we'll see. We're gonna hope Christian McCaffrey goes first, and he doesn't.
Damn it! Wow. You let him go and you take the receiver, right?
Yeah. So it's again. So for the listeners, Tyreek went first. So this is my situation where, like, normally in a normal year, this would be easy. I want to avoid McCaffrey because I'm pretty sure he'll go 101 in our draft. But like Lamb would be a smash, but he hasn't practiced at all. So you're worried about a slow start. Justin Jefferson's got Sam Darnold as QB. That's probably not great. Chase has returned to practice, but just now. So he very well could start slow as well. And then we got like Bijan's there as the top running back option. And then I'm thinking, 102, I got a long wait to get back to me, right? So who are the running backs going to be? You're looking at like your RB1. There's Derrick Henry, A-Chain, Josh Jacobs, Pacheco, Rashad White. Henry scares me because of his age and changing teams. Like I'm never really fond of running backs when they change teams. A Chain could be a freaking steal in the end of the second. It could just blow up your team. Josh Jacobs, another one that's changing teams and everyone's got different opinions on. Pacheco, I like. Pacheco would probably be the pick. Rashad White ain't bad. He's just so bland. So I feel like if we were in our real league, I would be drafting Bijan here. I think that's what I would do. But I'm going to go with Chase. And we'll see how running back gets back to me and how I'm feeling. So we're going to lock in Chase. What is happening? Holy crap. So CD goes, and then Bijan. Christian McCaffrey falling to the 105. That's
wow. Someone is thrilled to see that, I'm sure.
Yeah, for real. Justin Jefferson, Amon-Ra St. Brown, AJ Brown, and Jonathan Taylor go. First 9 picks, and you are on the clock.
Yeah, I am not anticipating Bijan being here, so Brees being here, so I'm kind of in a situation like yourself where I almost don't want to take him because I don't want to have a team built kind of around that. But I do feel like I'm rising back up on Gibbs, who it seems like is returning to practice. I know most recent reports are mid last week that he was going to return this week. But I did see some kind of pregame stuff that he was out there, in some kind of practice formations, slash like out there for the play, that they were kind of doing some walkthroughs and jogging like he looked fine. So I think he's a fine pick, and I think he's still probably my 4th running back. Still late in the first round, and I'd be happy to start with him. So I'm going to do that and take a look at what gets back to me here. Assumption, Brees probably going to go a little higher than that. After I take Gibbs, Brees goes, Garrett Wilson, Kyren Williams, Saquon Barkley. So that gets me back here and top of the board. At running back, Travis Etienne, Derrick Henry, Achane. At wide out, looking at Marvin Harrison, Puka Nacua, Drake London, Devontae Adams. So for me here, it's pretty easily Puka. I love Marv, as we both talked about, but I think a successful season for Marvin Harrison as a rookie is still probably disappointing in the early second round pick for redraft fantasy football. Right? He comes out, has 1,008. That's a great season, and Arizona fans are thrilled, right? They feel like they have their wide receiver 1 in the future, but it's probably a bust for pick 203. Which is just why I don't think I'm going to have much Marvin Harrison in redraft this year, because he's going too high. If he was going late second, somewhere in the 3rd, even in the 4th, where we're seeing Malik Neighbors going, he'd be a great pick. But he's far and away the highest drafted rookie receiver in the history of redraft leagues here, going in the second round. We just don't see it this often. Really just feels like we're drafting him at a ceiling. So Puka makes sense for me here. Not thrilled about the running back options there. Drake London is interesting, with a lot of upside, but I just think a little more stability there with Puka. Obviously, we've got some question marks there. You got to have some health from his quarterback there in Stafford, but all things being equal, I think Puka gives me a good mixed start there with Jahmyr Gibbs and Puka, two guys coming in that are hopefully taking a big jump. After Puka goes Marv and Drake London, 2 guys we've talked about. First quarterback off the board here in Josh Allen, Travis Etienne and Devon Achane, Travis Kelce, and Chris Olave.
So as a quick sidebar, Will, I'm looking at the draft board you sent me from your draft, and every year I see the names, like the new names, and they always catch me off guard. Like I saw like Nacua on here, went in the 201 in your draft. Obviously, I know who Puka is, but just seeing like Nacua on a line, I've never seen it before.
Just the last name.
Yeah, and I see Harrison Jr., and I was like, oh, that's weird. And I got to the end, and there was Nico Collins, and my mind defaulted to Kerry Collins.
Kerry Collins,
real
quarterback.
Yeah, big callback there. But when I saw Collins, like that's what came to mind. Like,
yeah,
it's weird seeing all like the names that you've never seen before, but you know who they are, and it's weird. That's probably a me thing, but very odd. So anyway. I'm back on. I think this is the earliest we've seen a tight end go in a while. Usually they're in the third round, I think. Same with quarterback, right?
I feel like, as you're looking at the photo there, we didn't have Allen go until the middle of the third, and Kelsey late third. So this is kind of a whole round ahead here in the mock draft that we're seeing them both go.
Yeah, so maybe we're seeing some live ADP adjustments as people are doing their real drafts and people are
Yeah,
taking their
that
shot
could be
early.
it.
Yeah, so I'm not going to be considering quarterback or tight end. The running backs are basically everyone I named minus A-Chain, who went at the 208. So we got Henry, Jacobs, Pacheco, Rashad White. At the wide receiver position, we have Devontae Adams, Brandon Ayuk, Debo, and Mike Evans. I'm really happy about this. So in our last mock, I think I was in the 7 or 8 spot, and I picked Debo there. So Debo falling back here is pretty awesome. I would really like to roll the dice and grab like Pacheco and then grab whatever 49ers receiver falls to me. But Ayuk kind of falls into that Chase CD Lamb. I'm not practicing. I might not even be on this team come start of the season. So I think I'm going to grab Debo now. Make sure that I get him. Because I really don't want Devontae. Ayuk is kind of scary. Mike Evans is fine. I just like Debo more. And then hope that Pacheco squeaks through. So I'm going to lock in Debo. Josh Jacobs goes and Devontae Adams goes. So I am back on the clock. Pacheco is there and I am happy. Jamar Chase, Debo Samuel, and Pacheco is a great start for me at the 102.
Absolutely.
So yeah, I'm thrilled with that. As long as Chase doesn't start slow and, Burrow's fine, then we should be good to go. So I'm going to lock that in. I don't think I really need to talk about it too much.
No, I like that. I think we're seeing him creep into the second round, which I still like, but he just felt like such a great value in the third round there. And getting 2 stud receivers and Pacheco feels like a really good start.
Yeah, now like in a real draft, team 1 could have went Tyreek, Jacobs, Pacheco. Like that's a really good start too, right? I mean, those 2. If you believe in Jacobs, it's a good start. If you're worried about him, then maybe not so much. But that's a fine start too. So a little bit of a risk in a real draft. Who knows? People like the running backs, but for now, I'm happy. Laporta went right after me with the 303. Derrick Henry, Mike Evans, Brandon Ayuk, Nico Collins, and then 2 quarterbacks, Mahomes and Jalen Hurts.
Yeah, so we've got a lot of receivers on the board. Really just looking at Rashad White and James Cook at running back that I'm liking at this pick and even my next pick. But just really why I feel like I find myself looking at like a hero or zero RB, because once you get past kind of the first 10 to 12, it's a lot of like meh guys, and I'm liking the receivers in this range more. So I feel like I need to get a running back out of my first 2 picks. And then I'm just not really thrilled with too many here from, rounds 3 to 5, 6, which is why I find myself drafting a lot of receivers. But Waddle here at the end of the third, screaming value. I feel like he is, a little overdrafted last year, as we saw, but this is kind of really where he's going. And then getting him in a pair with a Nakua would feel really good. I still think, as I mentioned, Rashad White, James Cook are both solid options that I wouldn't mind getting next tier, but I do like Waddle a little bit better than the next tier, for me, of DJ Moore, Metcalf, Neighbors. So I'm going to go ahead and grab Waddle here and then see if I get one of those running backs to come back to me. Otherwise, maybe really leaning more into that hero spot. So Cooks goes, Stephon Diggs, Lamar Jackson, and Rashad White. Team's going heavy running back here with Breece Hall, Saquon Barkley, James Cook, and Rashad White.
Will, can I immediately ask you a question?
Yeah, go ahead.
You drafted Puka, but Mr. Cooper Kupp is here. Would you rather have had a Drake London, Olave, Marvin Harrison, knowing that you could have got Kupp here, or are you're happy with your Puka and
probably? I mean, yeah. Like as we're seeing, Cooper Kupp is a screaming value here in the 4th. I feel like he should go a little higher than that, but he did. He went right here at the 403 in my draft earlier today. So this is kind of right where you see him going. Feels like it would have been, maybe a better value getting him, but I probably would, maybe London. I still don't think there's that ceiling that Marv. I think it's a little limited there. Um, but anyway, I like DK Metcalf a lot. I think there's a lot of upside there. DK Puka or a London Cup. Yeah, I mean that one's probably tough. I think DK is a good option here. I think we've got Neighbors, DJ Moore, another really good option. At this stage, he's kind of usually going at the turn there. And given that, I think there's some Seattle receivers that I like a little later, and there's really not too much with the Giants there. But you want to go ahead and roll the dice here on DJ Moore and see how I like the team. I've been a little hesitant to go with many Bears guys with available, or sorry, with Caleb as the rookie quarterback there. But I kind of want to see what the team will look like with him and give myself some more flexibility there. So roll the dice here with DJ Moore, get that 3 receiver start. And after him, Kenneth Walker, DK Metcalf, Cooper Kupp, Malik Neighbors, Joe Mixon, Michael Pittman, and Zay Flowers.
This is going to be a hard decision. Woof. So I'm on the clock. Devonta Smith is here.
Mm-hmm.
Great pick here. Tank Dell, who I like, is here. Amari Cooper, good pick here. We have the tight ends. We got Trey McBride, Mark Andrews is here. And then you got the tier of running back, which is a little less exciting. Kamara, Aaron Jones, James Conner, David Montgomery. And then our quarterback, Stroud, Richardson, Burrow, Kyler Murray. So I want to really go with like a Devonta Smith and a Trey McBride. Try to get both of them. I don't know if they would get back to me. But the worry is that I got a long wait for another running back. Like I'm almost hero RBing with Pacheco.
Yeah.
Which, you could hero RB with a lot of guys. Like you said, you did Kyron. I think people would be okay with Gibbs and Barkley doing that. But once you get into like the ETN, Jacobs, A-Chain, Pacheco, Henry world, hero RB is a little scarier. But, maybe we'll play the game and kind of see what happens. So I'm going to go with Trey McBride. I'm going to do Trey McBride. We'll wait on quarterback. Yeah, that's what we're going to do. Kamara went. Mark Andrews went.
Yeah, so, tight ends are running.
Yeah, so that's I kind of got what I want. Devonta Smith is here. Kamara would have been the running back I wanted, and he's not here, so that temptation's gone. I don't know if like a Najee or a Mostert's going to get back to me, but we'll play the game. That's what mocks are for. And we'll just see what happens. So I'm going to lock in Devonta Smith. That'll give me Chase, Debo, and Devonta Smith for my wide receiver core. I'm pretty happy with that. So let's lock it in. We'll see what gets back to me. Anthony Richards goes. Amari Cooper, Stroud, Tank Dell, Aaron Jones, Dalton Kincaid, Keenan Allen. You are back on the clock. I'm hoping you don't go with 2 running backs. That would hurt my plans a little bit here.
Kincaid would have been nice, kind of leaning into more of that hero RB, getting one of those onesies. But not the case. Still having James Conner here was something I was really hoping for to get a second running back. So, assume you didn't expect him to get back, but takes another one off the board for you here. So, he's going to be the pick. Quarterback was a thought here. You still have Burrow, Kyler, Dak, Jordan Love. So, solidly, amount in that tier. And then if I'm looking for a stack, I mean, Tua is there as available. Stafford a little bit later. And then you have some of those kind of onesies guys like Jaden Daniels, rushing quarterback that we both like. So plenty of QBs available. So I'm going to go James Conner and then look for a running back or receiver likely in the next round here. Kittle goes, Pickens, Higgins, and then Burrow. So no running backs go there. So that helps you out. Looking at what we have on the board, not loving receiver. Jaden Reed probably would be the guy, a little more of an upside guy, given that he'd be my 4th receiver. We're looking at Christian Kirk, Terry McLaurin, Roma Dunze, Jaden Reed, Xavier Worthy, Chris Godwin, if we're looking at DDP. So for me, I mean, McLaurin is interesting. He's clearly the one there, but playing with a rookie quarterback, definitely a little more hesitant, as we've seen. Just they don't tend to produce that many top receivers with rookies. But it seems like it's going to be less competition. So, right, it's not like, is it going to be this guy, or this guy that we're looking at with Caleb and the Bears? It's just Terry likely there. But I think running back seems like there's going to be a little bit more of a fall off here. Another time where it's like, oh, David Montgomery looks good, but Jameer Gibbs off. So, obviously Breece Hall actually falls to 10. Wouldn't be passing that up, and Dave Montgomery would be an option here, but not the case in this situation. We're looking at Swift, Mostert, Najee. This is kind of that middle ground where I'm not really thrilled about the running backs. Push comes to shove, don't know that I want to invest a second Bear, as I think it should be a good offense, but still a little hesitant there, so I don't know that I want to cash too many tickets there. And some offenses that I really don't know. We think New England's probably not going to be very good, but Ramondre's going to get all the work. And then Najee, also is a little more hesitant there. So I think I'm going to go. Actually, I'm going to pivot. I am going to go receiver here. I'm going to take Jaden Reed, guy that I think we're both pretty high on. I think that offense is going to be good, and he's the bet I want to make at the receiver position. So, going to lock in another receiver here and get that receiving core solidified. After him, Kyle Pitts goes, and the dreaded running back run that I think you were hoping to avoid. David Montgomery, DeAndre Swift, Najee Harris, Ramondre Stevenson, with Christian Kirk and Terry McLaurin. Getting it to you, Steve. Are you in full panic mode with some of those running backs going?
I'm not. In fact, I'm a little relieved. Reason being, I was looking here. I'm like, well, there's a world where Najee gets to me, and adding Najee and then Mostert would make me feel pretty comfortable. You get the volume of Najee. He's not going to be, the RB1 or anything, but he's going to be a great volume guy on what should be an improved offense there. And then a Mostert could be the one for his team, could be like the 1B for his team, but that team is a high-powered offense. So that would have rounded out my running back grouping, I think, very well. The issue with that is right now I have the opportunity of stacking Kyler with Trey McBride. And, I cannot draft 3 players. So with Najee going, that opens the door. So I'm going to go ahead and grab Kyler because team 1 here does not have a quarterback yet. So I'm going to try to head that off. And then I'll get Mostert on the way back. I'm assuming he doesn't. It's in the realm of possibility that he grabs Mostert. But he's got 2 running backs. I don't think he would. But let's grab Kyler. Damn it.
Yeah, there he takes Mostert.
Okay. Okay.
Hey, well, you've got the stack at least, right? And then that is very important. We talk about getting an elite receiver / tight end, and Trey McBride that we anticipate with a very good mobile quarterback. So it's still a solid stack. You can kind of remind yourself you have that in your back pocket.
Yeah.
doesn't seem to be assuaging you very much.
Yeah, I don't feel all that great. And now I'm looking at my Devonta Smith and being like, well, I could have took. James Conner would have been too many Arizona, but I could have grabbed the Montgomery early, or I could have drafted someone early and then grabbed like Ridley here or Rashee Rice here or something like that, and maybe be more happy. Woofity woof. So my running back options right now is Zamir White, who I really don't want. Tony Pollard, I have pretty much just forgotten has existed. I'm not really interested in him. I think he could be fine, but I don't really want him. Nick Chubb, who doesn't make any sense for this team. And in the 7th round, I'm not sure he makes a lot of sense for a lot of teams, to be honest with you. Zach Moss, who that whole backfield is now kind of worrisome to me. I don't know what to make of it. Jonathan Brooks doesn't fit this team. Javonte Williams, fine roll the dice. Jalen Warren, hurt. Eckler, bad. Singletary, Brian Robinson, blah, blah, blah. So Brian Robinson is probably the next guy I want.
Yeah.
But he could get...
I was going to say, do you lean out and just get another receiver? And
I think that's the
lean
play.
Into that hero RB.
That's, I think, the lean is, hopefully Brian Robinson gets back to me. If not, like Gus is there, I can grab like a Zeke or something like that. But yeah, I'm just going to run into a hero RB with Pacheco, and I'm going to grab Calvin Ridley. Rashee Rice also in contention. Um, but I'm going to go with Ridley here as the clear one for his team with Rashee. You could see Xavier Worthy stepping up, or, Kelsey's always there to steal the touchdown. So I'm going to grab Mr. Ridley there, lean into the running back position. We'll see what gets back to me. Two running backs go immediately. Zamir White and Tony Pollard. Evan Ingram and Jake Ferguson go. And then Worthy, McConkley, and Godwin. You're back up.
Yeah, so that worked out pretty well. I was hoping to get a quarterback back, preferably Jordan Love to pair with Jaden Reed. So I think I'm going to try to gamble here and hope that team 11 and 12 don't take their second quarterback here in that 7th, 8th turn. Obviously, the gamble didn't work as much out for you, but I think my gamble might be a little bit more calculated, giving this is a little before they start taking their second quarterbacks here with your computers, and that being the case, I think the best value here is a Rashee Rice, a guy that I think you and I are both high on, as we still don't have a suspension, and if he's playing, he is the clear one. We saw second half of the year there was a clear connection there. We've got Hollywood Brown out for a bit. Xavier Worthy looks good, but I think Rashee Rice profiles more as like a prototypical number one receiver. Rashee and Xavier Worthy is a good number 2 kind of speed down the field threat. So I'm going to go with Rashee Rice and kind of hope that I can then nab Jordan Love here in the next round. So let's see what we can do. Rashee Rice goes Zach Moss, Brock Bowers, Jalen Warren, and Hollywood Brown. So it worked out pretty well there. A couple of running backs that would have been decent depth guys for me, and Zach Moss and Jalen Warren go, but more than okay with that to kind of get that QB that I think is going to be solid. Not going to have the rushing upside, unfortunately, that we saw with some of the quarterbacks earlier. But in 17 games last year, still came up with about 250 rushing yards and actually had 4 touchdowns. So may get a little bit of work there, right? Maybe he doesn't run a ton, but if you can get 250, it's a solid amount. It's not what you're going to see out of some of these rushers that we really prioritize. But
would you like some breaking news here, Will?
Oh, I did see the Jacoby and Brissett.
Yeah. That is.
I don't know what to make of that.
Yeah, I just assume
from a fantasy perspective.
I assume it locks in Jake May as the starter.
Yeah,
but
what does it do for the weapons there? Like, does that help Ramondre that he gets the rookie sooner and maybe rookie can get established? I mean, I don't think we're looking at really anybody else besides him on the team, right?
That's really the thought of, like, I don't even know where the Patriots are going because they don't want any of them. So
yeah, I
don't think it does any. Like, their ADPs are all probably suppressed. I don't think this is going to bump them up. Maybe you take Hulk gets a little bump, hoping that second half of the season's better.
I took him earlier today, right? But that was in the 14th of 16 rounds. Maybe he gets a little bit more of a bump from there. Who knows?
Yeah, I would think, like, well, you're getting a rookie, you're thinking, second half of the year breakout. But if you have Brissett for 6 games and then a rookie, it's going to take a while for the rookie to get acclimated. So maybe the breakout never happens. But if the rookie's in there from day one, maybe they put it together. I mean, I'm kind of reaching here. I don't think it really impacts anyone. But
yeah,
probably just locks in Drake as the starter.
Yeah, I think that's probably it. But delaying no more, locking in Jordan Love here as my quarterback. After him, Jonathan Brooks, Nick Chubb, Javonte Williams, Dak Prescott, Jordan Addison, Brock Purdy. With those quarterbacks going, looks like only team 1 is without a quarterback.
Yeah, and I hope I can use that to my advantage. So we do have Singletary here. We do have Brian Robinson here, Gus Edwards, Tajay Spears, Zeke, Jerome Ford, Chase Brown. So I'm happy. I'm happy with this tier of running back. Not thrilled that it's my 2. But Brian Robinson's far and away my dude here. I think he's got more upside than everyone else, given he's younger. I'm not super worried about Eckler. So I'm sure he'll still steal some passes or something. But Jalen Daniels isn't going to check it down Eckler all that often anyway. He's a rushing quarterback. So I'm going to lock in Mr. Brian Robinson. We'll see what Team 1 does here. They go Caleb Williams and Deontay Johnson. So bada bing,
There you go.
bada boom. I am back here. I am going to reach on ADP a little bit because I think Jerome Ford is the one I want. Question mark?
Yeah, hard question there.
Yeah, like my thought is, I'm at least going to get probably like 6 weeks of starting out of him, which I do really need on this team. But with Brian Robinson and Pacheco, I don't have to start a running back. Like, it'd be different if this was my 2. Then I'd be like, to give me that guaranteed volume. But Singletary is going to be the starter all year. Like, no one's supplanting him. Gus Edwards could be the starter all year. Who really knows? I like Tajay Spears. Zeke's there and he'll be relevant all year long. So I think we're going to pivot. I'm going to go with a safety guy here in Devin Singletary. I'm just looking for some volume guys. I'm not looking for home runs for my running back position here. I've waited a long time, so I'm just going to stack myself some safe guys that are guaranteed starters for the whole year. And I hope one of them, Pacheco is going to be fine. Hope one of the other ones I can, find a little bit of a gem there. DeAndre Hopkins goes. Christian Watson goes. JSN, Gus Edwards, Keon Coleman, and Njoku, and Brian Thomas. You are back on the clock.
Yeah, Gus Edwards would have been a nice third running back here. Alas, not the case. Brian Thomas, another rookie. I think that you're getting at a good value here. This is where you're hoping some of your top rookies are stationed when it comes to ADP. This year has been very different, as we've seen with Harrison and Neighbors going a lot higher. Alas, I'm looking at running back. I'm looking at tight end and looking at as a receiver I still like. Right here, not particularly a receiver I'm going to jump at. So we're looking at the running back position. We're looking at the tight end position. Tight end, we're looking here, Dallas Goedert, right in this range. Dalton Schultz a little bit later. Pat Freiermuth would be a guy that I'd be able to maybe look at next round, possibly if I want to punt to the following round. But really after that, it gets a little dicey. But the running backs are beginning to dry up, and I do need to get at least one here. I think I should be able to get one of those tight ends next round, probably the following. So we'll look to get a running back here, and then if I can get one of the, I've got Dallas Goedert still there. It seems like pretty good value. Otherwise, we'll probably punt tight end a little more. Looking at the running backs here, we've got Tajay Spears, Trey Benson, Ezekiel Elliott. We got rookie and Blake Corum, Jerome Ford, Chase Brown. Out of those guys, I do like Tajay Spears. I think there's a lot more upside there. If I wanted a little more safety, probably Jerome Ford, especially to start the year. But I don't think I really need him to play right away, given I've got Gibbs, I've got Connor. So I'm going to take Spears, maybe look to get, a safer running back at my fourth guy with a Zeke or with a Jerome Ford, in the next round. So we'll see what goes on there. But we're going to go ahead and grab Tajay Spears. Sutton goes next. Tua, Trey Benson, and Dallas Goedert. So, yeah, second tight end. Kind of thought that was coming, and almost happy because it takes a little more of the temptation away. I could really use another running back here. So we've got Blake Corum, rookie, for the Rams. Expected to be an important part of the offense. There's really not too much else behind Kyren but him. So from, just a fantasy standpoint, I think he's a good back to grab. See if there's any injuries ahead of him, and even if not, still a solid player to have on your bench. It's kind of a depth guy. But I think Jerome Ford's gonna have work most of the year. You have your guys like Chuba, some of the guys that you think, hey, maybe they start the year strong, and we'll see what happens from there. You have Zeke, probably touchdown upside, but I think we're all a little hesitant on like what is he actually going to do, because we didn't really see too much out of him there in New England. Granted, it wasn't a great team last year, but it's getting older, kind of hitting that cliff. So Jerome Ford's going to be my pick here. A little more safety after I got more of an upside swing with Tajay Spears, and really kind of balance the team out. So locking in Jerome Ford. After him, Jameson Williams, Jared Goff, and Jaden Daniels, who seem to be kind of tied together in ADP. I feel like we're always seeing those two guys go next to each other. Chase Brown, Blake Corum, and Ezekiel Elliott. And then Dalton Schultz goes.
Yeah, let's see here. I don't feel pinned in anywhere at this point. Obviously, I got my quarterback and my tight end. I don't need to look at those positions. I'm open to an upside wide receiver. Jameson Williams would have been nice, but he went long ago. Curtis Samuel, Romeo Dobbs, if you want to take a shot on Green Bay, Lockett's here, Adonai Mitchell, Shakir, Jacoby Myers, Josh Palmer, Mike Williams, Jerry Jeudy. So I'm not loving everything here. Shakir, not a bad shot. If you want to take your dart throw there for Buffalo. Not a fan of people who've been in the league for like 4 years and haven't really done anything, but there is an opportunity there. Say same for like Dobbs. I mean, can't say same for Dobbs. He's done plenty. But he could be your dart throw for upside with Green Bay if you want to take that shot. Palmer taking over with the Chargers has some upside. You got, your rookie and Leggett would be solid there. I think you're worried about what's his name? Who's a quarterback in Carolina? Will.
We're looking at Mr. Young.
There you go. Yeah. Bryce Young. You're really hoping he steps up. That's more so the issue there, right? Dotavian Wicks down here. So let's take a look back at the running backs. I was hoping for Chase Brown, even though, like I said, I'm kind of iffy on that situation. Getting an upside guy would have been nice. Charbonnet, Chuba, J.K. Dobbins, Rico Dowdle, Ty Chandler, Jalen Wright, Tyler Algier. So I think I have found my first pick here. I'm going to take J.K. Dobbins. And he's going to be my upside running back to where if he is back to what he was in the offense with Harbaugh, they're going to be running a lot. He can easily outdo Gus and anyone else there. So I'm going to take that shot as my upside running back. And then we'll see what gets back to me. Hawkinson goes and Curtis Samuel. So I am back on the clock. So my wide receivers are Jamar Chase, Deebo Samuel, Devonta Smith, and Chase or Calvin Ridley. So I'm quite happy. I got 4 of them. I don't feel like I need a depth shot like a Lockett. I like Dobbs. He doesn't really have that kind of nuclear upside to him. So I'm gonna go way down ADP here, and I'm gonna grab. I've probably grabbed him in every mock we've done. Dontayvion Wicks. He'll be my upside shot. I think he's got better upside than Dobbs. Dobbs might have more volume, more catches, maybe more yards, but his upside's probably wide receiver 2, but probably more likely like back end 2 in the 3 range is more of a normal outcome, where Wicks could be like a high end 2 if he is the guy. Maybe even a 1 if Love takes a step forward too. Like he could be the guy there.
We're routinely kind of seeing him go as the 4th receiver, right? But I think his floor is wide receiver 4 on that team.
Yeah, absolutely.
Whereas the ceiling is definitely higher.
And with the 4 wide receivers that I mentioned, I'm fine if, he's a bust and he's the 4th on that team and he's irrelevant and I can drop him. I'm picking him for upside. I'm not worried about the depth right now. So we're going to go ahead and lock him in. We'll see what gets back to me. Dobbs does go immediately after that, followed by Lockett, Freiermuth, Justin Herbert, Adonai Mitchell, Shakir, and Trevor Lawrence.
Yeah, that sucks. Freiermuth would have been the tight end that I was looking at there. At this point, I'm really looking at kind of just punting it. I mean, I guess there's some upside with Cole Kmet, but as we talked about, we're never really thrilled to be leaning in on a rookie tight end, and it does seem like they're going to use Gerald Everett there as well. I mean, it seems like they're both going to be in the field, so not someone I'm looking at. Musgrave, decent tight end, does pair with the quarterback there, but don't know, that I want another pass catcher in that offense. That should be good, but you're investing a lot there. So my target's going to be Cade Otton a little bit further down the draft here. Should be able to get him, probably at my next turn of picks, not necessarily, kind of the last 2 picks that I'll get. So just going to keep, shooting my, darts at some more current ADP running back and wide receivers. Kind of top of the board here. Zach Charbonnet is an interesting one. I know last year was the hotness, and then really kind of just was dominated by Ken Walker. He was the guy in the backfield. Now, when we're looking at Charbonnet, I think we're seeing his value really depressed. A ton of talent. He's a young running back. Obviously, you're likely going to need an injury ahead of him to be really relevant, but I think this is not a bad spot to roll the dice on a running back because most of the guys here are going to need an injury, whether it's to one of their co-starters or to the guy ahead of them to really have major relevance. And he's a guy I think has one of the most talent of all these running backs available. So I'm going to go ahead and grab Zach Charbonnet. After him, Chuba, Cole Kmet, Jacoby Myers, and Josh Palmer. So all guys I wasn't particularly focused on looking at. So happy to see that. When I look at the guys available here, receiver that sticks out is Brandon Cooks. I know we've talked about him as a player that could have big boost early on in the season if CeeDee Lamb doesn't sign and does indeed hold out, because Brandon Cooks is the one for sure if that's the case. He does look to be pretty solidly the two on the team, and he kind of produced maybe a little lower than we expect there. Wide receiver 36.5 PPR last season through 16 games with the Cowboys, so I missed one game. But I think that's kind of the floor you're looking at, low end 3 flex play, and there's a ceiling that if there's an injury around him, and or some of these other guys don't step up. I mean, they have a questionable wide receiver 3, still got Ferguson and the other tight ends. Don't really know that you have reliable receiving work out of the running back, so I think he's a solid shot to take here for me. So I'm going to go ahead and grab Brandon Cooks here. Get me another wide receiver. Kind of keep a balance here: 5 running backs and 6 wide receivers. After him, Rico Dowdle, Mike Williams, Ty Chandler, Jalen Wright, Aaron Rodgers, and Jerry Jeudy.
Beautiful. So 3 picks left. My team's pretty well balanced, so I'm not thinking I have to go anywhere. Wide receivers, Leggett is jumping out at me at this point. We waited a whole other round. He's still here. Rashid Shaheed, Gabe Davis, Polk, Dotson, Josh Downs, Pearsall. Adam Thielen's jumping out as well. He might be the better. I got an upside guy in Wicks. It might be nice to get a little some safety there, just in case there is an injury. Debo is on this team, and Debo does get hurt a lot. So, having
it feels like he's going to come out and have 3 weeks where he's a wide receiver 2, wide receiver 3. He's going to be fantasy relevant early, and everyone's going to be humbugging just because it's of course, we should have known it was him again.
Yep, 100%. And then, even later, he's probably going to get 8 targets every game. And, your typical game is going to be 4 catches for 40 yards or something like that. But, the volume will be nice throughout the season, I would imagine. So that's always good when you're having some, when you want some depth. Darnell Mooney's here. Interesting option in Atlanta. Demario Douglas, Michael Wilson there. At running back, Tyler Algiers here. Could be an interesting option. We got a new coaching staff in there, so maybe he isn't going to be super relevant, but he's talented, so he should be on the field, you would imagine. Marshawn Lloyd, Kendre Miller, Antonio Gibson, Kamani Vidal, but I got J.K. Dobbins. So, per the usual, there's not, what are you going to do here at the running back position? Damian Pierce, if you think Mixon's toast. And there's really, can't make this stuff up. Keaton Mitchell's on the pup. Devonta Foreman's here. That is interesting. Nice and late for him. But alas, I am not interested. So I'm going to play the ADP game. I'm going to grab Leggett because he's at the top of the ADP list, and then I'll grab oh man, that's should have thought that through. That is gross. Man, I should have thought that through. 2 Panthers is pretty disgusting, isn't it?
It's not great, but
it's really not.
Yeah.
but I need that solid depth play. Like get somebody that, after, you know, you hate to cut him early because he's a rookie and they tend to need half a year. But I feel like you could cut him based on the performance at the quarterback position. Like if there's no
Yeah,
clear
that's what
step,
you're looking at.
exactly. If he still is not good, then you could probably just cut the guy and be like, yeah, you're not stepping up. More like, well, like Thielen, you're not going to have some high ceiling, but like, okay, the quarterback sucks, but your volume's still going to be there. So that's how I'm going to rationalize what I'm doing. But drafting 2 Carolina Panthers, probably not ideal, but at least they're at the end of the draft and it's not super relevant. So got him locked in. Kirk Cousins goes, Luke Musgrave, Tyler Algier, Dotson, Philly, but in his Washington jersey picture here, Kendre Miller, Marshawn Lloyd, and Polk go. You back up?
All right, so I'm gonna play the gamble here and likely grab a running back and then try to get K. Dotton here on the turn, with both teams at the turn having 2 tight ends already, and there being 1 tight end ADP wise ahead of K. Dotton. I think there's a good chance I can get him in the next round, and I think there's just kind of safe volume there. I'm not expecting a ton, just want to get a couple points out of him. So I'm looking at 4 running backs, all of which, interestingly, are rookies. We have Kamani Vidal, we have Ray Davis at Buffalo, we have Tyron Tracy and Audric Estime. Kind of all of which are likely the 2 or 3 on their teams. I think Tyron Tracy and Ray Davis look more solidly like the 2s, whereas Kamani Vidal could be a little higher, could be lower. There's a little more volatility there, especially with not more of a solidified guy at the top. Kind of similar setup with Audric Estime. We could see Jalil McLaughlin and Samaje Perine both make the team, and Audric Estime is a 4th back, but it's a lot of competition. So for me, I'd probably be looking at Ray Davis. Want to see what you have in him. I like the talent of Ray Davis. There's really nothing else there besides a very solidified one, James Cook. Tyron Tracy, I do like the talent coming off injury, but he does look to be good. Less solidified there in your Devin Singletary, but also running behind what should be a pretty bad offensive line in New York. That Buffalo line should be a little more middle of the pack and a more manageable offense. So could roll the dice here on Davis, and we'll kind of see what happens with him throughout the season. Josh Downs, Gabe Davis, Antonio Gibson, Baker Mayfield go for me here. Makes my pick easy. Lock in my tight end here with K. Dotton. I don't have to say too much more about him. Good floor play there. Jaleel McLaughlin goes next. Kamani Vidal, Ben Sinnett, Ricky Pearsall, Darnell Mooney, Braylon Allen, Tyrone Tracy to you.
Oh, I was really hoping Darnell Mooney got here because that would have made everything so easy. Elijah Mitchell's here. If you are worried about like the CMC injury, maybe he buys you a few weeks. I don't really see how that helps me, but that's an option. I mentioned Deontay Foreman. He is someone that could help you quite a bit. If he does show in week 1 that he's carved out, a pretty good role. We've seen him be a pretty good fantasy producer. Now the question is, doubt unless Eckler isn't toast, he's probably not going to beat out Brian Robinson. If he gives a big enough role, maybe Singletary, but that's pretty slim odds. Jordan Mason's here, another option if you want to hedge the CMC thing, but no, thank you. And then who is Larry Rose? Sorry. Frank Gore. Frank Gore, Mark Ingram. Oh my
Frank
God.
Gore Jr.
They're still here. Wendell Smallwood. There's a name you haven't heard in a while.
No, that's Frank Gore Jr. Beware. That's not Frank Gore.
Is it?
That is his son.
Okay.
22 years old in the NFL.
There's no junior here.
Insane.
But yeah, that's
right?
fair. Wow. Yeah, it's Miles Sanders all the way down here.
Yeah.
Any other interesting names? Mike Dune, Michael Pirine. I'm just seeing if there's anyone. Robert Turbin.
Yeah. Oh, Turbin.
Why is he still in the system?
What?
CJ Anderson. Oh my. Todd
Yeah, it's
Gurley.
always interesting to see that the random guys that are just kind of still floating
I'm going to
around.
scroll all the way down here. Who can I find? This is so Bilal Powell.
Yeah.
Pierre Strong.
Sheesh.
Why is he below all those
Pierre
people?
Strong. Yeah. Maybe they don't think he's going to make the team.
Yeah. Jamar Jefferson. Okay. Anyway, enough
Yeah.
enough playing those games. The wide receiver position where we're looking, Troy Franklin's here, Quentin Johnston, Demario Douglas, Roman Wilson, Michael Wilson would be interesting, but I don't want that many people. Cardinals. Jermaine Burton's here. Luke McCaffrey, not a bad option. Now that Dotson's gone. Bateman's still here. Marvin Mims, if you want to take a shot on a Denver wide receiver, that's pretty great. I am not seeing it too much else, but I do have someone in mind, but I'm blanking on his name. No, I am not. His name is Mr. Tim Patrick. I'm going to grab Tim Patrick on my last pick. He was always a quality fantasy producer when he was healthy 100 years ago. That wide receiver core is pretty open. I mean, Sutton's not going anywhere, but Mims showed something, but not enough to say he's got a solidified role. Troy Franklin's young, you don't know. And if Tim Patrick is healthy, there's a world where he's a 1 or 2 there, and I'll probably cut him after the first week. But what do you expect? I mean, we are naming off some crazy names there. So that finishes off my draft. Bucky Irvin goes with the last pick. I am in the 102, so I'll run down my team here. First, at quarterback, we got Kyler Murray. At the running back position, we got Pacheco, Brian Robinson, Singletary, and J.K. Dobbins. At the wide receiver position, Jamar Chase, Deebo Samuel, Devontae Smith, Calvin Ridley, Dontavian Wicks, Leggett, Thielen, and Tim Patrick. And then at the tight end position, Trey McBride. I like it. It's I noticed this with my last draft too, because I went 0 RB, that it doesn't feel as bad going early tight end this year. Like usually you look and you're like, oh yeah, I got a whole wide receiver or something because you went tight end early. I don't really feel that way anywhere. I mean, obviously the running back position is weak. Camaro would probably make me feel better, but Pacheco and Robinson's, for waiting and doing like a hero RB approach, I'm pretty happy with that. So overall, I like this team. I like the stack that I got. We're looking at the offenses I'm part of. We got Cincinnati, San Fran, Kansas City, Arizona, Philly. So, the core of my team is within the top offenses in the league. You're hoping Arizona steps up, and Tennessee, you're hoping it's just like a volume, Jameis Winston kind of situation where it becomes a good offense because they're just winging it all over the place. And so, yeah, overall, I'm pretty happy with what I got here. Will, you're in the 10 spot. Let's run down your team.
Yeah, so out of the 10 spot here, Jordan Love at quarterback, Jahmyr Gibbs, James Conner, Tajay Spears, Jerome Ford, Zach Charbonnet, and Ray Davis at running back, Puka Nacua, Jalen Waddle, DJ Moore, Jaden Reed, Rashi Rice, and Brandon Cooks at wide receiver, and Kate Otten at tight end. Overall, pretty good. Kind of like most of my drafts have gone. Feel really good about my receiving core. Puka, Waddle, Moore, Reed, Rashi Rice. You can only start 4 of the 5, so I feel really good there about the depth I have at that position, and really good about having my flexes locked down there, which I think this year you're going to see a lot of that, outside of the teams that are able to get a few good running backs or maybe have that running back pickup. You're going to see teams that are really strong at wide receiver, and their flexes are going to be covered that way. And that's how it is here. Happy with Jordan Love, stacked there with the Jaden Reed. So on Kate Otten, punted the position, so it's kind of what you expect. The running back one is interesting. I do feel strangely pretty good. I like Gibbs and Connor. I think that's a good 1-2. And then I think I should be able to get something out of Tajay Spears or Jerome Ford, and then some good young backup running backs in Charbonnet and Davis that could pop should there be an injury ahead of them. So overall, pretty good. Probably not my favorite team that we've drafted so far, but don't dislike it.
So I just had an opinion change about your running backs because I first looked at them and I thought, okay, if Gibbs is already hurt and Connor gets hurt all the time. So it's like if one of those goes down, Spears could be splitting time. Maybe he's similar to what he was last year, which wasn't great. I mean, you could use him some weeks, but he wasn't great. Charbonnet's okay. Ford's okay. So it's like you could be in trouble really quickly. But then at the same time, like Gibbs's injury is early. If he ends up missing a week, which I don't think they're saying he will, but if he does miss time, you got Ford there, who's going to be a solid contributor for a few weeks. So
good early plug and play.
Yeah, that pick really solidified, right? I really was like, oh man, you're one injury away from being in real trouble. To be like, you know what? You could, as long as it's in the first 6 weeks or so, you're
kind of weather that.
Yeah, you're fine. You got a good depth piece. He really brings it together to me.
And I do think James Conner gets injury discounted. But, I mean, you look at it, man, the last 4 years, 13, 15, 13, 13. So he's playing the majority of games, right? He's going to miss a game or two here or there, but, 16-game seasons. He played most of them last year. Last year was a 17-game season. He's played 13 of 17. So he might miss a game or two here and there, but he's playing the majority of seasons.
Yep. Yeah, and hopefully if something happens, it's a little bit later in the season. You have time to pick someone up or
time to adjust. But he's been an RB2 the last 3 years, 5, 20, 18.
Yeah,
so
it's solid.
You kind of know what you're getting there. A solid RB2. Obviously had that one big year, another one earlier in his career, but you're kind of expecting solid RB2, which is just what this team needs him to be.
I always find it annoying when I look at the computer picks because they do some interesting strategies and then I hate the execution. Like Team 3 went 0 RB. Their first one is in round 7, and they went freaking Zamir White and Austin Eckler, which to me, like, And they also, like Zay Flower.
Tony Pollard and Brian Robinson would have been much better.
Yeah,
there,
exactly.
Right?
And then it's like, well, you're rolling the dice on Anthony Richardson at quarterback, so like the strategy could blow up there. Zay Flowers is your 3, which could be great, but it could not. So like, I don't know. I'd rather Zay Flowers be like Devonta Smith.
Getting like a Derrick Henry or a James Cook instead of Laporta, and then, just getting a later tight end or getting, James Conner instead of Anthony Richardson.
Yeah, like
getting, and then going with Jared Goff much later to pair with Laporta.
Yeah, there's just different things. I mean, and that's just my opinion, I guess. Like if I can merge my team with his, and it would be like Lamb, Olave, Porta, Devonta Smith, Kyler, McLaurin, Pollard, Robinson, something like that. I'd like it so much more. But it's just they never executed on the way you want to do it.
No, definitely not.
Actually, he's got ETN. Never mind. I was going to say Team 6 went 0 RB, but he went ETN. But yeah. But anyway,
the Ferguson Dak stack there for Team 6. So that's not a bad team.
Yeah, it's not a bad team at all. You carry some risk with Neighbors and Dell there, I think. But you're running back, ETN, Najee, Gus. You got
Chase even decent.
Yeah, you got your volume there. You got your upside shot and Chase. I mean, that's not a bad team at all. It's interesting, but that's going to wrap us up. Will, we are 5 days away from our draft. We're recording this very early. We're recording it on Sunday because Mr. Popular over here has got a lot of things going on this week.
Yes, busy week, fantasy drafts, and then other stuff.
Yeah. So we have ours on Friday. Try to get some mocks in there and get myself prepared. And I will see you then, my friend.
Sounds good. I'll see you then.
Beautiful. Thank you for listening. Until next time, folks, trust your board.